The world stood on a precipice. The Treaty of Versailles, intended to secure peace after the Great War, instead sowed seeds of resentment. In Germany, a nation crippled by economic depression and national humiliation, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party rose to power, promising a return to glory. In Italy, Benito Mussolini's fascist regime dreamed of a new Roman Empire, while in the Far East, Imperial Japan embarked on an aggressive expansionist policy, invading Manchuria in 1931 and mainland China in 1937. These nations, bound by ambition and ideology, would form the Axis powers. Appeasement was the policy of the day in Europe. Western leaders, haunted by the memory of World War I, hoped to avoid another catastrophic conflict by conceding to Hitler's demands. In 1938, Germany annexed Austria and then the Sudetenland region of Czechoslovakia, but Hitler's ambitions were insatiable. On September 1, 1939, German forces invaded Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France, honoring their pledge to Poland, declared war on Germany. The Second World War had begun. The initial phase of the war was defined by the terrifying speed and efficiency of the German Blitzkrieg or Lightning War. Poland fell in weeks. Then, after a period known as the Phony War, Germany's war machine turned west in the spring of 1940. Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, and Belgium were swiftly overrun. The main Allied forces were outmaneuvered, leading to the dramatic evacuation of over 300,000 soldiers from the beaches of Dunkirk. By June, France had surrendered, and Britain, led by the defiant Winston Churchill, stood alone against the Nazi onslaught. The Battle of Britain raged in the skies over England. The Royal Air Force fought heroically against the German Luftwaffe, ultimately preventing a German invasion. Frustrated, Hitler turned his attention east in a massive strategic blunder. He broke his non-aggression pact with Joseph Stalin and launched Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union, in June 1941. Millions of soldiers clashed on the vast Eastern Front, a theater of unimaginable brutality that would become the deadliest in human history. Meanwhile, the war in the Pacific had been escalating. The United States, officially neutral but increasingly concerned by Axis aggression, imposed an oil embargo on Japan, facing a critical resource shortage. Japan made a fateful decision. On December 7, 1941, Japanese carrier planes launched a surprise attack on the U.S. naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. The next day, the United States declared war on Japan. Germany and Italy, honoring their pact with Japan, then declared war on the United States. The conflict was now truly global. The year 1942 marked the high tide of Axis expansion. German forces pushed deep into the Soviet Union, reaching the city of Stalingrad on the Volga River. In North Africa, General Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, threatened to seize the Suez Canal. In the Pacific, Japan conquered the Philippines, Singapore, and vast territories across Southeast Asia. The Allied cause seemed perilous, but the tide was about to turn. In the Pacific, the U.S. Navy won a decisive victory at the Battle of Midway in June 1942, crippling the Japanese fleet and halting their advance. On the Eastern Front, the brutal, grinding Battle of Stalingrad ended in a catastrophic German defeat. The Soviet Red Army surrounded and destroyed the entire German Sixth Army, a turning point from which the German war effort in the East would never recover. In North Africa, British and American forces drove the Axis powers out of the continent, paving the way for an invasion of Italy. As the military conflict raged, the Nazi regime was perpetrating one of the darkest chapters in human history, the Holocaust. The systematic, state-sponsored genocide of 6 million Jews and millions of others, including Roma, Poles, and political was carried out in death camps like Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobib. This industrial-scale murder was a crime of unparalleled horror, a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity. By 1944, the Allies were prepared to open the long-awaited Second Front in Western Europe. On June 6, 1940, Fort Editha, largest amphibious invasion in history, began. Allied troops landed on the beaches of Normandy, France, under withering fire. After securing a foothold, they began the slow, bloody fight to liberate France. By August, Paris was free. The Allies pushed eastward, while the Soviets advanced relentlessly from the west, squeezing the German Reich from both sides. The final German counteroffensive, the Battle of the Bulge, in the winter of 1944, was a desperate gamble that ultimately failed. In the spring of 1945, Allied forces crossed the Rhine River into Germany, while Soviet troops fought their way into the streets of Berlin. On April 30th, with his capital in ruins and Soviet soldiers closing in, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his bunker. On May 8, 1945, Germany unconditionally surrendered. Victory in Europe was declared, but the war in the Pacific continued. Allied forces, through a brutal island-hopping campaign, were closing in on the Japanese home islands. Battles on islands like Iwo Jima and Okinawa demonstrated the fierce resistance of the Japanese military, with horrendous casualties on both sides. Faced with the prospect of a full-scale invasion of Japan that could cost millions of lives, the new American president, Harry Truman, made a momentous and controversial decision. On August 6, 1945, an American B-29 bomber dropped an atomic bomb on the city of Hiroshima, instantly killing tens of thousands. 3 days later, a second atomic bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. The destructive power of these new weapons was terrifying and unprecedented. On August 15th, Emperor Hirohito announced Japan's surrender to his people. The formal surrender was signed aboard the USS Missouri on September 2, 1945, finally bringing the Second World War to an end. The war left a world transformed. Over 70 million people had perished. Nations lay in ruins. Empires had crumbled, and the geopolitical map was redrawn. The horrors of the conflict led to the formation of the United Nations, an organization dedicated to preventing future wars, and the establishment of the Nuremberg trials to hold war criminals accountable. The war also ushered in the nuclear age and set the stage for the Cold War, a new kind of conflict between the two new superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. The legacy of World War II continues to shape our world, a somber testament to the immense cost of conflict and a timeless reminder of the importance of peace, freedom, and human dignity. Thank you for watching.